Ghouls and Ghosts. Ghosts and Goblins. We all know this franchise. The Angry Video Game Nerd has a very good video on it. The speedruns of several of the games are very popular, and we all know the infamous congratulations loop. But no one talks about the last game made for the franchise. In fact, it is so rare for someone to talk about it that there is only one speedrun uploaded to speedrun.com. I'm talking about Ultimate Ghosts and Goblins. Released for the PSP in 2006, this sequel launched the franchise into the world of 3D, or 2.5D, as it is still a side-scroller. But who made the game, you ask? Well, it was Toze. And they made, they're known for, After some digging around, it turns out these fuckers have been making games since the first woman Prime Minister was elected in the United Kingdom, 1979. It was Margaret Thatcher, by the way. What have they made though? Well, they made Resident Evil Revelations, Metal Gear Ghost Babel, you know, that one good Game Boy Color Metal Gear game, Super Tennis, which I own, Super Princess Peach, a bunch of Famicom Dragon Ball Z games that never left Japan, including an RPG, a card game, and some shitty fighting games from which I own a bootleg copy of one of them. Do not ask me why. If you've never heard of them, it's because apparently they hate taking credit for their own work. Their MO is to have no vision of their own and just do as they are told. Their official page has no list of games, but it does have a list of main clients, like FromSoft, Capcom, Square Enix, Bandai Namco, Kadokawa, Monolith, Nintendo, Sega, Sony, and fucking Yahoo Japan, just to mention a few. So, what did they do with Ultimate GNG? Well, they made a pretty good game. Let's grab our PSPs and boot up the game. A text wall greets us, showing us all we need to know about the story of basically all the games. There are demons, they kidnap the princess, and Sir Arthur has to come for her rescue. Wait a minute. The demons want to mix their blood with the princess? I mean, they could be talking about a blood transfusion, right? Or, like, eating her. Not that other way to mix blood, right? Anyways, we get an opening cutscene that is way more important than I originally thought. It starts with a pre-rendered model of Arthur looking at the castle, and look at how much hair he has. It's so close to his eyes, is that normal? I digress. What I want to talk about is that first, he's running. We now have a dash in GNG. Continues running, jumps, and hey, that's a ledge grab. This is the first GNG to have a ledge grab. Then he continues running and throws his lance downwards and throws his lance upwards. This is not the first game to feature this, but a lot of games don't have this quote-unquote freedom of throw. So it's important to let the player know what they're dealing with in this new GNG. I really like this opening cutscene. It tells you in a kinda cinematic way what you're gonna be doing in the game. And there it is, Ultimate Ghosts and Goblins. Something I really like is that the controls are fully customizable. If you like to throw your weapon with the R bumper like a Philistine, go right ahead. Hey look, there's a difficulty setting too, but what do they change? They change a lot actually. The game plays quite differently with each difficulty level. First there is Novice, the baby mode of the game. You get 10 lives, yes kids, there are lives in these games, but do not worry, as losing all of them will just mean you lose all your points, but you can continue the game right where you left it. There are less obstacles, getting hit doesn't knock you back anymore. If you die you respawn in the same spot, normal armor has 2 hits before you lose it, and armor upgrade means you can take 1 more hit. It's like a Mario mushroom, only if you didn't grow, and you could stack it up to 2 times, making it so you can take 4 hits before losing a complete armor set. Standard mode is the normal mode of the game. You still share the same respawn and armor system as in novice mode, but all obstacles and enemies are there. You also get knocked back when hit. Be careful around those pits. And finally, ultimate mode, which is the closest you can get to classic GNG. We start the game with the same number of lives as standard, but if you die, it's back to the beginning of the level or a single checkpoint in the midway point. But there are only checkpoints in select levels. And the most harsh is that even with a fully upgraded armor set, you lose it all just from 1 hit. They streamlined it more. You can get all the endings in any mode, and I think that was a good decision, since you can still make it hard on yourself like in good old GNG, or you could do a more casual playthrough. We finally start playing the game and it feels like good old GNG. And listen to that score, so good. Jumps still follow a predetermined arc, meaning that if you jump you better be sure you measured it well, because you can't control your movement mid-air. But what is new in this version, Spark? Well, they basically amp everything up. You can sprint now, as we saw in the opening cutscene, by double tapping and holding a direction. This is basically useless though, as there are non-cancelable recovery frames when you stop running, so you're just a sitting duck for half a second. Spells are not tied to weapons or armor anymore. Magic is its own super bar. You get fucking POW power-ups. The blue one makes your weapon have more range or shoot more, and the red one gives you more damage. Now you don't only lose your armor when you get hit, but you lose your damage too. Note that if you respawn in novice mode, you do so with full POW. We got more weapons too, with the classic ones returning. The lance, same old, same old. Dagger, same, but it's not the best weapon in the game anymore. Fire bottle, it was the torch before. Swallow blade, the tracking one, and then the new ones. The Grand Lance has lower, more damaging lance. There can only be one on screen and it pierces through enemies. This means it will stay on screen for a very long time, leaving you open for attacks for a very long time. It sucks. The bomb, it's just a fire bottle, but it explodes instead of leaving a fire trail. This makes it a faster weapon, allowing you to throw more in a shorter period of time. I personally prefer it way more than the torch. The boomerang scythe, some chakram thing that lets you take items from afar. The vine whip, it's just a whip, Castlevania style, but it's basically useless unless you got any POW. The electric whip, the highest damaging weapon in the game, and OP with full POW. If you have full POW, this weapon is better than the dagger. The crossbow shoots 3 arrows at the same time, up, in front, and down. Fire crossbow, a short-range crossbow with piercing effect. Electric crossbow, same as the fire crossbow, but this one does more damage and has long range. If you know what you're doing, you usually use the electric whip throughout the whole game with full POW. And if you kinda know what you're doing, you're gonna go with the daggers. Get the knife! Shields also come back as equipable items. You just crouch to use them now. You can only block projectiles though, and each has different durability, with one having infinite durability, which you need certain conditions to unlock, but more on that later. There is not much use for the shields as they are mostly situational, except for the dragon shield, that enables temporary flight. More on flight later. And magic, there are several spells, like fire around you or fire in front of you, slowing down time, invincibility, petrification, one that shows you if there is a secret treasure in the screen you are right now, and only right now on that level. You need to fill up your magic bar with potions enemies sometimes drop, to sometimes use any of this expensive stuff. If I seem not so excited, it's because I never really found a use for magic. It's way too difficult to fill up your magic bar, and even if upgraded armor makes for less expensive and or more powerful spells, the scarcity of its use makes it hard to get used to it. When you use magic, you get full invincibility for a couple of frames, just like for half a second or like a more quarter of a second, and that sounds nice, but you stop your movement completely. The last spell is the exception, but more on that later. So if you use your double jump and cast a spell, you stop midair and fall straight down. Enemies continue moving, so you might fall into an enemy that just spawned or even just walked there. It's too risky if you're not well versed in new GNG, as I wasn't, so I rarely used magic. The armor is more varied this time around. We get the usual upgrade and final upgraded armor that give you better spells like the usual games, but there are 4 new unique ones. The Cursed Armors, one that upgrades magic to max level 3, and speed, making it so you are always sprinting. But you only get 2 hits before losing it. The same one but backwards. You are slow, you have normal magic, but you can take up to 4 hits. Probably the best one being the Angel Armor. You only get 2 hits, and second level magic, but it grants infinite flight. It unlocks until like halfway through the game though. It's pretty weird how the control scheme is supposed to be restrictive like all other GNGs, but they added an armor that completely ignores that. I love it though. There is a problem with flight though. Shield and armor. You have no double jump anymore. When pressing jump, you fly again. Flight is slower than normal movement, so your maneuverability takes a hit. Like if you jump, a projectile is out to hit you midair, you double jump again, maybe in the same place, maybe back, maybe forwards, but you can dodge it. With flight, try to double jump again, you get flight and you will probably get hit. And finally, the Dark Armor. You have no spells, you are always sprinting, but you get 4 hits and you're always in POW. Even if you take a hit, you keep your full POW. Enemies are fairly standard, with new additions here and there, like the Reach Out and Grab Ya, and pterodactyls, I guess. The standouts are the bosses though. All are unique and require from simple dodging while attacking to testing your platforming skills. Oh, and Astaroth is not a pushover anymore, unless you know what you're doing. Although some can be more annoying than anything if you're not so good at the game, like myself. Damn you, you fucking bug boss. Shitty fucking bugs. So you go through the game ready to challenge Astaroth. But wait, where is he? I didn't have enough rings? So, the rings are scattered throughout the game. You need 22 to challenge Astaroth, and you have to go back and find rings you can now access with your new magic and shield. Kind of like a second loop, right? Good old GNG. Not exactly. The final game mechanic is finally of use to us. Warping. We can warp to any level we want, provided we found the warping item for each level and have potions to spare. We go through the game again, collecting warp items and the rings we need. You finally get to the same door. We can finally challenge Astaroth. We have a pretty good fight with him, as he now is actually a boss fight. And we rescue our weirdly proportioned princess with the face of a sex doll. But everything still looks fucked though. Here Arthur says he will never rest until true evil is defeated. This means you loop again, right? Is this a 3-loop game? Fucking no. After we defeat Astaroth, we must collect the missing 11 rings to challenge the true final boss. We got most rings, some unlocked after loop 1, but there is one missing. If you look hard enough, there are 9 items that I glossed over. These are the witch items. There are 3 witches hidden in the game, each one having her own warp item, so you can just go back to them whenever you want. Each witch takes 3 items from those 9 I was talking about, and they give you something in return. The first one gives you the infinite durability shield. The second one gives you a pendant that cuts potion use in half. And the final one gives you a boss fight that when defeated gets you the final magic in the game. The fucking Hadouken! Or wave magic. The Hadouken is the only magic in the game in which you keep your jump momentum. So if you jump forward and do your Hadouken, you will still finish your jumping arc. This is the best spell in the game as it deflects projectiles and even destroys obstacles. On to the witch's fetch quest. Shouldn't be too hard, right? I mean, we're already on the final stretch of the game. Well, there are rings and items only accessible with the angel armor. The game is pretty hard, so it's highly likely you will mess up, lose your armor, have to go back to another level, losing your potions to get the angel armor back, try to get your potions back, go back to the same level, get to the same secret area, and try again to get that pesky item. After oh so much backtracking, you can unlock more items. Defeating the first boss again gives you a triple jump. After getting a metric fuck ton of points, you get an agility upgrade. You move faster in every way. After another metric fuck ton of points, you get another pendant that cuts damage in half. So now you have 8 hits to work with. I don't really know what happens when you get this item in ultimate mode though. The thing is that all of the points needed are kinda only obtainable after defeating the final boss, without losing all your lives. Of course, no one did this. It was way too much of a chore. My theory is that Capcom tried to capitalize on the popularity of Metroidvania games. They tried to capture that feel for this new game, as Dawn of Sorrow had come out the previous year. They did a pretty poor job though. Almost no one who owned the game finished it, and Oblivion took the game away from potential buyers. It's not so bleak though. Although I couldn't find sales numbers or anything, it is safe to assume the game didn't sell well on the West, but had at the very least moderate success in Japan. Just 1 year later, Ultimate Ghosts and Goblins Revised was released in Japan. Goku Makaimura Kai. It is the same game, but with some tweaks. Enemies and obstacles change positions. The difficulty settings only give you more lives, as the game is always in ultimate mode. There's life stock A, B, and C. Nothing changes but the lives, except on livestock C, enemies have a little less life than in the other modes. You also have credits now, like an arcade game. A credit gives you a set number of lives, and if you run out of credits, game over. You have to start again. There is also no more warp or stage select, so there are no more easy armor pickups. Remember all those special items? The one that gives you double jump, triple jump, the one that unlocks the angel armor, the one that gives you better defense, and so on? Fuck those items. You just have double jump now, you start with it, you always have it. All armor, magic, and shields can drop from the get-go. The rings are still there. There are even some new ones, but they don't unlock anything. Each time you get 3 rings, you gain an extra credit. That's all they are good for now. It's back to classic 2 loops to finish the game. On the second loop, you will fight the final boss, no matter what. And my favorite change of all, magic doesn't need potions anymore. Now you can use magic whenever if you have armor. You hold down the magic button or the attack button, and when the bar fills up, you release the button and you use your magic. It's like if they realized that using magic was risky in itself, and instead of making it scarce, you can experiment with it anytime. True, you might die, but if you learn how to use it, it's not just an afterthought, it's an actively used game mechanic now. The least notable tweaks are that the enemies have less health than in vanilla. I don't know which ones or by how much exactly, but in vanilla, a pterodactyl takes 3 hits from the electric whip with full POW, but in Kai they only take 2. Same with bosses, it feels like it's easier to kill them. It feels more like classic GNG this way. If you know what you're doing to the point of speedrunning it, everything dies pretty fast. If you don't know, you are the one that still dies pretty fast. You can now double jump with any flight item, the shield and the armor. To activate flight, you have to press up and jump. You no longer take a hit to your maneuverability, you just get an upgrade. The angel armor did lose its ability to sprint though, but as I said, sprinting is really not that good, so it's still the best armor in the game. My other favorite change, no more witch fetch quests. Fucking yes. So now, we do the first loop. The second loop, we get to the final boss, final destination, no items, only Hades. It's the hardest boss in the game, with way too many attacks, but hey, at least we can get here without those witches, those cheeky cunts. We finally defeat Hades, the ultimate evil, and we get treated to another pre-rendered cutscene. Arthur comes back for Prin Prin. She says that she will always be safe as long as Arthur is with her. Isn't it weird how they are lip-synced with no dialogue? It's kinda jarring, isn't it? Arthur tells Prin Prin to go to the balcony to meet her peaceful kingdom. This is something I really enjoyed in the game's story, if you can call all of this a story. It's not like the will they won't they from Mario and Peach. Arthur just barged into Prin Prin's room while she was in bed and they hugged in front of the maidens. It is clear that later they will bone, and the maidens fucking cheer them on. They fucking love it. Look at her, she's loving it. And so we see the final credits. Holy shit, look, it's Tosei. You know, the guys that made the game that can't be found on the fucking game case? And then look, a callback at how the game started. But wait, Arthur, where are you going? She just said that she wanted you by her side. Like, peace, bitch. I ain't got no time for this. Wow. And thank you, game. I am great player. The English is only found in the Japanese versions of the game. Sadly, the game never left Japanese shores. You can buy it though, for your PSP or Vita, in the Japanese PS Store. It costs 700 yen, which is roughly $6.5. I show you my copy, but the PS TV doesn't allow for video capture devices. But Spark, how did you capture the game if you can't do it with your copy? I bought the game so I can emulate it. If you do buy it, use it on your PSP. The Vita version has significant input lag. If you don't have any, you can do what I did, but be discreet. It has been more than 10 years since this game came out, but Capcom still put him in Infinite Marvel vs. Capcom, even though that game used a lot of the same assets from the previous game, so it was probably just a money-saving decision. But it seems like they like the guy, and if Strider could make it back, Sir Arthur still has a chance to rescue the best named blue or purple, depending on the game, haired princess in video game history, Princess Prin Prin. Whew, that was a journey and a half. If you made it through all the video, I basically owe you my life now. If you're curious, the title card and the doodles that appeared throughout the video weren't made by me, they were made by Cupid Dissolvi. You can see her Twitter and YouTube here on screen, and the links will be found on the description below. I will continue making videos like this. Next one will be about my personal experience with the Danganronpa franchise. So until then, but if you don't want to wait until then, I stream very regularly on Twitch, which you can see here on screen and down in the description below, and I also have a Discord, so go at it if you want to. So yeah, until next time.